Hello everybody and welcome to another Sunday Q&A. Before we go on, I think I need to draw your attention to a very important video which I've done in the past, which is sometimes overlooked because Christmas is coming and you need to know your 4 categories of Christmas songs, which are effectively happy Christmas songs, sad Christmas songs, observational, and not a Christmas song. Which means just because you put a white puffer coat on when you appear on Top of the Pops doesn't make it a Christmas song. Don't whack sleigh bells on the end of it's Christmas song. Anyway, I'll do a link because it's important. When it comes on the radio, you need to know your categories. I think it's important. Mind you, things I think important, things other people think are clearly not always in line. Right, as we all know, I'm now on the podcast. And you'll see the fancy link coming up. Yes, no, I've got to say a big thank you to Nick at London Creative, who's got his own channel out there. Please check him out, please subscribe. Who said, I couldn't do it any longer. He said, you've got mail. And he was gracious enough to actually sort me out with a little sort of graphic that's got with what I'm on the Spotify and the Audible and the Amazon and the Apple Music and Apple iPodcasts or whatever it is. If that doesn't work, I'm going to look like a proper Charlie right now, but I'm getting the hang of these graphic things. You know, there might become a graphic for, like it says, Pete's Sunday Q&A soon. Or maybe not. Probably not. I also want to say hi to Steve Campbell, who actually I met for a drink. The nefarious Steve Campbell, I actually see him in the flesh. He turned up, he actually had a drop in Luton and he had half an hour spare. So I met him at the yard and we popped down to the Travellers Down and I had a pint and he had a Coke because he doesn't drink. And Steve, he's doing the Shipley at the moment. We'll come to that, there's a question on that. And the Enterprise van. He's doing all right. And I've got to say, Steve, I wish you the best of luck. Keep it together, mate. Keep going. Hopefully you'll get there in the end. And it was a genuine pleasure to meet you. And thank you for taking the time out to come and say hello to this crazy YouTube guy. But right, so that's the introduction out of the way. Let's get on to it. Now, we got a few on the Multidrop monthly. I will be repeating these on the next Multidrop monthly thing, but I'd like to say thank you very much for contributing because it does kind of help me because I do the circuit thing and it kind of adds to that, which is cool. But on the subject of Multidrop, John Ramsey said, Multidrop at Christmas time is just about workable at the lesser paying companies like Yodel and Hermes who pay around $1.50 a drop or less. This is because you get lots of volume in tight areas. I kind of get that. It's like being a postman. You might only get £1.50 a drop, but you might have 10 drops in the same street. So it still takes a little while, but it kind of does work out. He said the drawbacks for these firms is that you could be stood around for long periods of time waiting to be sorted and finished without pay. Once the volumes die off, you need to cover more mileage and do the same amount of drops. Some guys are working 14 hours a day at $1.50 a drop doing 100 drops. When you do the maths and take off your fuel, van costs, insurance, etc., you will see how many are running around for less than minimum wage. High stress for too little reward. I've got to be honest with John, that's the way I find it. I mean, some of the multi-drop firms like the Amazon mob, they're quite happy with it. But I look at it from an outsider's point of view, and I think you can get the same kind of dough doing light haulage, doing 3 drops rather than doing 200 drops. Why would you put yourself through it? But on the flip side of things, I also understand that it's not always that easy to jump on the exchange. Not everybody's got 2 months dough up front, and you know there must be advantages to it. The people I see that are doing the Amazon are smiling. It's just not for me. Gerham George said, I did GPS because he did the circuit thing. He said, I did GPS with the circuits. It worked great. Circuit and Delmate. Circuit would give me the route. Delmate would take me to the doorstep. I now do the same work and I still use it. Less than 10 drops is for free. Circuit is worth the money, the Rolls-Royce and Multidrop app. Well, I've got to say, go home, thanks very much, because I do support it and they do support me, but as I've always said all the way along, I wouldn't support something that I didn't think was any good. Also, this Delmate, a lot of people swear by that. It was too dear for me. I kind of always seem to manage to find the location anyway. It's like a location finder. It's a very good location finder, but I think it's on a monthly, and I kind of think, but you know, a few more comments on Delmate, which would be handy, and we can throw that one at you guys. Anyone using it? Let me know what you think. Is it dear? Is it worth the money? I'm curious. Stuart Price says, hi Pete, thanks for the videos, you're welcome mate. I've been watching for a couple of years now. I've been using Circuit for about 3 years now, and I've watched it evolve. I regularly get customers who give me between 15 to 25 deliveries a day, and like you, I found Circuit to be a very good tool. Once again, Stuart, thanks for backing me up. I appreciate that. I've been considering joining the CX to complement my other career work, but have been delayed during the lockdown. I lost two or three main customers and have fallen back on my first trade work. Don't care, take money. Stuart, the CX is very good for backloads. Even if you've got regular customers that are taking you out, it just saves you coming back empty. That's what it's kind of designed for. And we'll come on to the backload thing because we did a video about it this week. But I do recommend it. You don't have to get that many jobs. A couple of jobs a month, it pays for itself on the basic package, I would say. But obviously I recommend it. I don't get anything from that, guys. You know, like I say, Circuit do look after me. They don't. But these videos have evolved from me being on the CX, and I've just always just told the truth, and you do with it what you will. It's fine. Domain name guy. He says, the multi-drop scenario, a driver has, this is the scenario. He says, a driver has a week off and the parcel company use an agency driver that does the usual driver's work quicker. So when the usual driver gets back off holiday, the depot manager tells the usual driver the agency driver done his route quicker and was back an hour earlier, etc. At this point, the usual driver should use one of the best used words in the English dictionary. And? Yeah, okay. Well, get him back in then. Get him to do it. You know, I've had that one before. I remember on the market, a woman come up to me. She said, it's that thing, if you tell people the truth, they can't get you. She said to me, I really like this top. I went, buy it then. She said, but it won't fit me. I went, don't buy it then. It's not that tricky. Honestly, it's really not. Okay, the other guy did it quicker. Okay, I find okay is a brilliant word. The other guy did it quicker. Okay. Don't argue with him. Just do. Okay, fine. He also goes on to say, if I knew how easy and enjoyable being an agency driver was when I was a multi-drop driver back in the day, I would have left the multi-drop years before I did to be an agency driver. So again, the multi-drop is hard work, guys. The money's there, but it's hard work. And the final word, just a little sip. It's very nice today. Final word goes to Uncle Jason, friend of the cats. Jason Burke, he said, I learned my multi-drop trade by being employed by Argos for 8 months during the first lockdown. Kind of same as me, Jason. I was doing exactly the same thing. 4 hours a day, 30 to 70 drops, nice and easy, loved it. Great company, great bunch of guys. I did then look at being self-employed and working for Hermes, etc., but decided it wasn't worth it. Now I love my multi-drop delivering the NHS 400 miles a day, 8 to 14 drops a day. Love what I'm doing. Curious to know what multi-drop app you're using. Are you doing a Circuit thing, or have you got your own one? Let me know. Just curious to know, but good to see you out there, Jason, doing the thing. Cool. Right. As I said earlier, we also did one on backloads. I did a video saying why you should charge less money for backload. Should you charge less money for a backload? And in the end, basically come to the conclusion, you charge what you like. But you guys have got your thoughts on it. So I'm Van on the Run. He says, buy rights, all job in the CX are backloads. And like I said, as I said earlier, the CX is very good as a backload platform, and that was what it was designed for. So you've got to bear in mind that hotshot prices are kind of backload prices already. So when they say they want a backload price, they're asking for a discount on a discount. And that was something when I was on the market, it used to drive me mad. Yeah, the backload prices already. It says, getting a load back to your area, having done a job for your own customer on the way out. So I really don't get the backload category on the CX. I think should be changed to co-load with a suitable flexibility time window for collection and delivery. Seeing the comment looking for someone going that way really annoys me, as I can't imagine the shippers charge their customers less for an afternoon job. They're just trying to boost their profit margin, which I think is probably very true. Yeah. They're going to charge their customer the rate, regardless of whether it's done in the morning or the afternoon. They're just trying to get you to do it cheaply. Godzilla's goes into quite a lot of detail. Sit down, we're ready for this one. He said backloads do not exist. It just doesn't. He said there are jobs that are poorly. He said there are jobs and there's poorly paid work, which some describe as a backload. So a backload is simply poorly paid work. Now, some will say, given a backload, as a non-defined delivery and collection allows a degree of flexibility, and we're given a same-day couriers on a time basis, then this allows a lower price because it doesn't require us like a soon as basis. He said, but this is nonsense. The reason is this: that you may take a run at a lower rate to take it home. Nothing wrong with this. It secures your work and it may cover your costs. However, it's entirely up to the courier if they decide to undercut everyone else to secure a run, and it's if the job is worth the outset, it's decided by the shipper, is really low. It's just basically a poor paid job. He says, and thus a backload is a job that pays nothing. This is not what we're seeking to do as courier drivers. We've got bills to pay. He says, a secondary thought is that we do not do co-loading. Again, what Jason was saying earlier. This is suicide to a courier, given that it requires a justification for a shipper will never end well if they ever need to ask. So you basically can't pay it high. I think you're kind of in agreement, and he does go into quite a lot of detail about what happened, but I think you're both in agreement on that one, which is the fact that just because they say it's a backload doesn't necessarily make it a backload. It's kind of, I've always said all the way along, if it says can be picked up any time this afternoon and dropped off any time in the next 3 days, that's kind of a backload. If it says needs to be picked up by 8 o'clock in the morning and get there ASAP and it says backload, no, it's not. You just clicked the wrong category. Ultimately, what I've said all the way along, you quote what you're happy doing the job for. Doesn't matter if it's a backload. If you want £1,000, you tell them £1,000. Chances are you probably won't get it unless you're delivering it to Australia. But you quote what you want. And finally, Deezer says, he says, oh, by the way, the Godzilla's did write quite a lot more, and it's worth reading if you actually want to go back and check it out through the comments. Doozer, says, doing a job is not doing charity work. Do chippers charge the customer a backload price or a full price for a hot shot? Sorry, guys, but only fools try to play this. I only lower my price on a co-load job. If they require an empty van, ASAP delivery, then it's a hot shot. And for that, I have a total agreement with you, my friend. So there we go. Right, so that's kind of the videos we did this week. Now we're going to go on to the wise guys. People that know better than me, that actually put me right when I'm talking nonsense, which is all of the time. Greg, MCG125, says, the guy who bids treble, and, they said they haven't blocked him. I said about this guy who always bids treble the amount, well, the job is worth, and they don't block him. The shipper doesn't block him, they laugh at him. He said, if they did block him, would he know or would he not see the jobs? As I understand it, if you're blocked, you can't see the jobs, but you do know you're blocked. Because you can go on the exchange platform and you can see who's blocked you and why. Well, not why, they can see who's blocked you. We had people that blocked us in the beginning for decent reasons, because when I was trying to subcontract with vans and didn't know what I was doing, they thought I don't want to get involved with them. A lot of whom have now they realise we're in trucks and we're like actually dedicated and proper, have unblocked us. Because we can see that, and then suddenly jobs appear, and I go, Jim, there's a guy. I thought they weren't playing with us anymore. And he went, no, they know the score now. We're fine about it. But I'm going to have to put that one out to the wise guys, because I'm not 100% sure about that. So if you guys know better than me, verify it, and we'll get back to Craig. But as I understand it, if you're blocked, you can't see jobs from that shipper, but you will see that you have been blocked by that shipper. So you can ring them and go, you blocked me. Why have you blocked me? And they go, you did. So I say, okay, well, that didn't work out the way it is. Give me another chance, I think. Also, on the co-loading thing, Nick the Urban Trucker's come. He says, I'm sorry to say, Pete, but Godzilla's the information about taking the stuff to the nearest weighbridge and then finding out you're overloaded and getting a jail-free card is a myth. He said, if you take any vehicle overloaded on a public highway, even if you're taking it a very short distance to weigh it, once you've taken the vehicle on the highway overloaded, you committed an offence. And using overloaded vehicle, he said, however, if you're prosecuted, the defence can be put forward under the 1988 Road Traffic Act that says at the time of contravention was detected by the vehicle, was proceeding to the nearest available weighbridge, was returning from such a weighbridge to the nearest point where it was reasonably practical to remove the excess load, was not more than 5% above the individual permitted axle weight, so it depends how heavy you are, having been within the legal limits and with no subsequent additional weight, the load. Basically, you're saying that you can go to a weighbridge, get it weighed, and then take it back if it's too heavy, provided it's not too crazy heavy, and you could still be prosecuted, but there is kind of a defence that can be put forward. He said he also mentioned that the Traffic Commissioner would be informed of the offence, which is correct, but he said that you and the shipper may be emailed to answer for this offence. Apparently that's not. Yeah. But there, so the long and short of it is, once you've taken an overloaded vehicle on the carriageway, you committed an offence. But you can go, look, this is what happened. And if you've actually done it reasonably, it probably will be considered, as I understand it. He also says, something I've noticed is the best practice mode. This was to do with the bed and the doors on the when I did a video about how the tacho head works. It says before inserting your card and waiting for the tacho head to fully lock your driver's card information, which takes about a minute, or as you put it, wait for the door appears. Before you change mode to any other work, hammer. So be saying put the card in, wait a minute for the door to appear before you stick it on hammers at the start of your shift. And then at the end of the working day, show 1 minute's rest before removing the driver's card. When the working time, and also it goes on about the working time directive to do with sandwiches and how it was nonsense to be driving off the, when you were driving the lorry off-road. So yeah, sandwiches is just, I don't understand sandwiches. There's hammers, I'm working, I'm driving, I'm unloading, or I'm resting. Sandwiches, I'm sure there's a reason for it. I don't use it, I found it very painful. Right, so that's kind of the videos we did this week. Trucks. Got a few quick ones on trucks. Domain name guy says Tesla apparently have got an electric truck and a Scania, and now have driverless tipper trucks and Volvo autonomous Vera trucks. So before too long, he says not too long before the haulage industry goes autonomous. I personally think that's worth a video on a sort of a video on its own. There are certain things about it that could be autonomous. There's just too many imponderables. There's too much stuff in the way. I think for what is effectively a solitary job, you have to have tremendous people skills. So I am going to address that one. Will we ever become autonomous? Will the Amazon vans eventually just fly around and just drop your parcels off? Will trucks go backwards and forwards on the motorway, dock onto bays, and there won't be any people? And I think it will happen, but I don't think it'll happen for a long while yet. And I'll do you a video on why. There we go. Ikas says, good morning. He says, when you first apply for your operator's license, can I advertise in any local newspaper? Thank you. Yeah, you can, as long as the newspaper is kind of like proper circulated, proper newspaper, and it's within a certain distance of the area where you're going to be advertising for. But I would check it out first, because an advert that goes into the paper could be something anywhere between 180 and 300 quid. So don't put an advert in a paper and then find out, no, that paper's too far away, and have to do it again, and they'll delay you for weeks. I would actually speak to them and go like, okay, I'm applying for Coventry. Is it okay if I take it out in the Warwick Observer? And they'll go yes or no. And then just double check it first. It's too dear to go the other way. Donald Colford says, hi Pete, not sure what's the best way to put this question. In comments, if you've ever got any questions, put them to me in the comments. Don't email me, don't message me. I won't see it. I'm a driver. I drive for a living. I don't sit there looking at my phone. I'll look at the road. But if you write any comments or questions in the comments on the YouTube, what I do is on a Friday or a Saturday, today is Saturday, I'm dragging me out today, I'll run through them all, and I will reply. So don't get the ump and go, well, I sent him a message, he didn't write back to me. It's because I probably didn't even see it. So yeah, comments is the way forward. He says, how much does a contracted transport manager cost to hire if you don't have the operator's license? Well, you don't actually need a transport manager if you haven't got an operator's license, because you only never need one if you need to run lorries. So if you're running vans, you just don't need one. Transport managers will charge what they want to charge. They're like us. You can quote £1 on a job. You can quote £1,000 on a job. It's up to you. I would say on average, I would say £150 a truck is competitive. My transport manager is cheaper than that, but he's a friend of mine, and I try to do everything in-house. All I want my transport manager to do is to look. I upload the. If you're listening to Daniel, you're there. Hello, mate. Thanks very much for your support. Doing my best here. All I want him to do is see the cards uploaded every week and see that everything is fine and go, good. So all I want him to do is open up the laptop, realise it's fine. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes there are elements beyond our control. But ultimately, I just want to see green bars all the way through. And largely, I think we're on 99.4% good or something like that. So we're kind of cushy, but sometimes things go wrong. You can't help it. Like no safe place to stop, or just the other day Harry left his card in, which will show up as an infringement, although technically it's not, because you can prove that it's an accident, he left his card in. I've done it before. But if you're looking for a transport manager, I would say about 150 quid a truck is competitive. It's a decent price. Some will charge more, some will charge less. Find the right guy, you're going to be doing well. Like I find Daniel, don't leave me. And finally on this on the trucks, Tony Mason says, "Hi Pete, what can you use as the best software when downloading the card?" We use Taco Master. I can't tell you whether it's the best or the worst software because it's the only one I've ever used. Daniel recommended it. It works well with him. It's not super dear. It's one of those monthly subscription ones. I kind of wish there was one that you could just buy. Do the money and you're done. But they do update it. It is very comprehensive. It does work very well with the DigiView square box thing, which is in my bag. Can't be bothered putting it out. I've done a video on it. But yeah, and it's not super dear and it works. There might be a better one out there. But to be honest with you, it does everything I want to do. It does everything I want to do and tons more. In fact, it does more than I want it to do. I just don't even know what the other bits do. Maybe one day if I ever crawl into an office, I'll work out what that is. But in the meantime, I say get yourself a DigiView plug-in box. Works really well. It's mobile for reading the cards, and Taco Master. That's what I use. Is it the best? I haven't got a clue. It's just I did one before where I actually had to bring the cards back because you had to plug them in the computer. This portable thing is useful, but is it the best? Right, and that's trucks. Time for miscellaneous. Right, drink a soup here. Potato and leg, very nice. It's a cup of soup. It's not real soup. It's fine. The McNeil 93. Pardon me. Hi Pete, I mentioned in my last comment that you kindly included in your Q&A that I'm a complete novice to the game. How much experience would you say I or anyone would need to join the CX to start working for myself? Would you say I need to work for someone for 6 months, Q&A to learn the ropes? I will do you I'll do you a video on that one. But the answer is no. I mean, you've got to bear in mind when I started, I just threw myself straight at the deep end. The markets were dying. I didn't have a lot of choice. I think I worked for Tony because he ran me, subcontracting me for about 2 weeks. But it's not that tricky. And I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, but when I started, there was no videos anywhere about how the CX worked. Now there's over probably 500 to 1,000 videos I've made now on what to do. So if you're a bit unsure about something, you can watch it. It's probably wrong. But it might at least give you an idea of what is right. It's not that tricky. And I've also said people actually want to help you. When you get to the place for the first time and you don't know how things work, just tell them. I've never been to a distribution centre before. I've only been doing this a week. What do I do? My father-in-law has got a phrase. And he says, if you start a sentence, if you start a conversation with, I wonder if you can help me, it instantly puts most people actually want to help you. If you just throw yourself on your sword and go, mate, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Please help. People kind of like helping. They go, what you need to do, go down there, open this, turn that, talk to this. Not everybody. Sometimes people are having a bad day, but 95% of people are going to look after you. You don't really need that much experience, but I'll do you a video. I think it's worth it for other people too. Alan Solomon also said, Pete, got a Luton with a tail lift. New in the game. No, I'm new in the game. In the Midlands. I only started, done 3 jobs in 2 weeks. He said, I've done 3 jobs in 2 weeks. No feedback or price. He said, I bid on jobs, no calls. I don't get a replay. Can you tell me what is your advice? I would say, Alan, the best thing you can do, what I would say when you start trying, we will come on to pricing. We've done pricing before. Maybe you're bidding a little bit too high for someone who's new. So what I would do is I would drop my prices slightly. I say it's like water. Drop your prices slightly. If you're winning every job, you're too cheap. Start clocking your prices up. If you're losing every job, you're too dear. Start dropping your prices down. Eventually, you'll hit a price where you're winning, I would say, in my mind, I always like to win 2 out of 3 jobs, or 75% of the jobs, like, you know. I think 2 out of 3 is about right. Even 50%, because you could get a little bit more money. Go for that, and it will find its own natural way. When you're starting, you're keen to go, so you can go a little bit cheaper. Ring them, go talk to them, try and have a laugh with them. They're human beings. Sometimes you'll win a job even if you're overpriced, because they think, I'm going to give it to this guy because he seems like a nice guy. Say to them, I'm new on the exchange. I want to make an impression. I want to get forward. I want to keep working. You know, hopefully you'll use me again. Is this? I've always said another one is this price too dear? Is £100 too dear? Is £50 too dear? They may go, well, it's a little bit dear, because they know what they've got on the job. They can see in front of them how much it pays. And they'll be suspicious if you offer them too cheap. But if you say, is that too dear? They'll either go, no, that's fine. Or they'll go, yeah, that's a little bit too dear. What about this? You know, talk to them. It will come. And the other, sometimes it says we don't want calls, email. A lot of them now, they just want electronic quotes. So the pricing comes with the electronic quotes. If you really want the job because it's around the corner from your house, ring them and go, I know it says electronic quotes only, but I'm literally on top of it. I really want this one. That's about the best advice I can give you. You know, good luck, my friend. I hope it works out for you. Lee Westcott, can you do a video on Anyvan or Shipley? I hear lots of bad things about them. They would be interested to hear what other people think. Now, that's one out to the wise guys. I'd done Shipley back in the day when I was doing removals a long, long time ago. I found the jobs, by the way, they seemed all right at first, but with the amount of work that was involved, it really wasn't worth the aggravation. Having said that, and then the nefarious Steve Campbell has been doing Shipley this week in his rental enterprise van. It was lovely to see you, Steve. I hope you're all right, mate. And he picked up, he gets them together. He comes from Newcastle, but he had a long day. I mean, he was up at like 4 or 5 o'clock to get the buses, to get the van. He was expecting to get home at 10 o'clock at night. But he was going to York, and then he was going to Luton, and then he was going to London. And he tied it all up together. And he was taking more money that day than I was in a truck. So if you know what you're doing, I do believe it can be done. But I can't comment because I haven't done it. I did the odd job here and there, moving a sofa, moving something. That's kind of it, like, you know, so. Anyone who knows any van or Shipley, please leave some comments. We'll pass them on to Lee. Okay, says, I have 2 vans, a long wheelbase and a Luton. I have a driver on the Luton. On the long wheelbase, I charge, right, this is on pricing. I charge anything between £1 and £1.50, sometimes more, especially on Thursdays and Fridays. On a Luton, I charge anything between £1.30 and £2.50. Worth to mention the fact that I live in a very good area, because it's Coventry. So a lot of jobs from Birmingham, Coventry, Nuneaton and Bedford. Yeah, I know where you're coming from with the area, mate. I've got to say, if you're getting that kind of money, all power to you. When I was quoting in Luton, maybe I was quoting too cheap, but again, I was winning 2 out of 3 jobs. I wasn't winning every job instantly. And I believe if I'd have been quoting too cheap, it would have come through, bang, 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 get that guy getting books right away. If you're getting that kind of money, in a Luton, I'd still be looking, even now, maybe £1.20 a mile. And in a long wheelbase, £1 a mile. But I don't know, because I don't run vans anymore. I run trucks. So you can't take my word for this. I don't know. And I know that I have said that some people will be going, on a small van, you're too cheap. And then other people go, in a small van, I'm not getting this. So, but I say, all you people can do yourself. Start at a price. If you're winning every job, you're too cheap. If you're winning no jobs, then you're too dear, or you're doing something wrong. And you'll find a way. I really hope you find a way. Kazan Courier says, again on the pricing thing, I have a long wheelbase and I charge £25 per hour. The only time I was asked to lower it, we settled on 20 quid. Mind you, I don't split hairs. If the customer comes out to load it at 20 to 30 minutes, I don't go back for 15 minutes waiting time. I agree with you. It's not worth doing for the grief line. I just hope that they remember I was fair with them when I quote next time. And again, we all find our own way. Everything I say has just been my personal experience of it. It's not the gospel. It's not the hard and fast truth. You guys do you, and you find your own way. And it strikes me what you're doing there is you're providing a very reasonable price for probably a good service, and hopefully you'll get plenty of work for it, because we don't want to be sitting around waiting for work. We're drivers. I want to drive. As Harry said the other day, he was there for 2 hours, which. I've been there longer. He says, I don't like waiting. Well, none of us like waiting. We just want to get it on, get it there, get it off, do the job. That's what we do. Tommy ZX6R. Droid's name, Tommy. Droid's name. Come on, son. He says, how do you quote for waiting time? Do you arrange with the shipper when quoting for the first job? No, Tommy, what you do, put on your CX profile how much your waiting time is. And it kind of, I would say you're looking probably for small van now, maybe £20 an hour, because they seem to be going up to maybe anything between, I'd say, 10 and 25, depending on how small the van is and how long you're waiting for an hour. I actually think £10 is too cheap now. Maybe take a ballpark figure, on average £20 an hour, maybe a little bit more on a Luton. Stick it on your CX profile, and if you find that you're on site, or you think you're going to be on site in a van for more than 20 minutes, if it looks when you get there like it's going to take you a while, ring them up. Keep the shipper informed, because you've got to give them a fair chance. You can't ring them up and say, I've been here for 2 hours. So, well, if you'd have told me it's 2 hours ago, I'd have put a phone call in and say, get the guy loaded now, and you'd have been out of there by now. You've got to give them a chance, like, you know. But if you look like you're going to be there, just ring them up and go, I think this job is going to go over, so we're going to be looking at waiting time, and then work out what you're happy with. There is some kind of guidelines, I believe, on the CX, and I'm sure I've done one on waiting time before. And you fathom it out then. It's not rocket science, Tommy. We'll learn as we go. You'll be fine, mate. Addy the real Slim Shady, right, I'm waiting time again. Addy the real Slim Shady, Addy says, waiting time starts with a taxi. Waiting time starts as soon as I get there. There's no free waiting time. Addy, that's not true. When you're in a taxi, you are outside for like 2, 3, 4 minutes. You don't go in and go, right, you've been here for 5 minutes now, and you've got to pay the extra. There is a time where she's going, oh, we just need to go to the toilet. Oh, she's just lost a coat. She's going, well, why is it just she? It could be a fella. I don't know where my cap is. My dad's trying to find his cap. We'll be out in a minute. And you do sit there. Unless, of course, like Dave the Chris, you're in a black cab, in which case, you know, open the door, meter goes on. If you want to go off for like 2 hours or 20 minutes and go and find a bag, when you come back, that meter's clocking round. It's like airplane. But I know what you're saying. Nothing comes for free, my friend. Andy Darwin says, just a suggestion for a video on tyres, how many miles you get, that kind of thing. I'll be honest with you, Andy, I don't know, but I do know a man who does, because when we used to run trucks back in the day, my mate Will, who used to look after Shirley, said he tried all 3 tyres. He tried the cheap tyres, the mid-range tyres, and the budget, the mid-range, and the expensive. And he actually fitted his trucks with them, and he actually started keeping charts and graphs. And what he found was mid-range tyres were the best. He said, from the point of view of actual mileage and money and return, you can buy the brand name, you don't get much more out of it. You can buy the budget, they wear out too quickly. The thing that I always say is you can get a nail, or you can you can get a nail in the side of the best tyre in the world, the same way as you can get a nail in the side of the cheapest tyre in the world. I tend to go with Will. I tend to go for mid-range, because you want to be safe. You want to know that tire's pretty steady, pretty okay. So, but I can't give you any hard and fast facts. I'm just going to what someone else used to know. A wise guy that I used to know back in the day works on a farm now. Works in his father-in-law's farm around the corner. He's very happy with it, and I'm very pleased for him. And finally, Dave Cossie says, thanks, you enjoyed the video. Have I ever thought of getting T-shirts printed? Take care, take money. Could be worth a few quid. Dave, it's one of those things, and it's like, you never say never. I didn't really start the channel as a merchandising channel. It just appeared why anybody would want my face on a T-shirt. Although I defend the Dizzy Rascal thing. That's why. On the front of a T-shirt, I think that could be quite cool. Maybe one day. It's like the politicians. They say, well, I wouldn't actually go for it, but if people wanted me to do it, if the demand was there, then reluctantly, I might have to put my face with Take Care, Take Money on a T-shirt. Well, that thing with the headphones in and the big white glasses, that's the kind of thing to do. And finally, in conclusion, this week, I said I always struggle with languages. I said, like with French, I said I can never remember the French for duck. And Ski, and Ian the Shipper, C11 Yan, said, canard. It's not canard, it's easy. I just can't remember the French for duck. And on that note, Christmas is coming, just around the corner. Guys, stay safe. Take care.